types of questions in the reading test. The format is the same as the listening tests. It has 39 multiple choice questions and is also computer-based. It is, however, timed at 60 minutes. This section tests how well you understand texts like ads, articles, letters, and opinion pieces. So expect to read both short messages and longer, more formal documents. The categories of questions are exactly like the listening text, except that it is in text format. And texts get longer as you advance through the question. If you feel comfortable with the categories of the listening test questions, you could skip this and move forward to the tips for passing the reading test, or you could watch on and we could go over the reading test question category. This section also tests levels A1 to C2, just like the listening part. Each level tests a type of reading skill, from basic fact-checking to deep understanding of ideas and tone. Exactly like the listening test, A1 will test your ability to identify basic facts like names, dates, places, prices. A2 will test your ability to understand simple messages, short descriptions, or the purpose of a short text. B1, the ability to identify main ideas, feelings, reasons in personal or informal texts. B2, the ability to understand argument structure, compare viewpoints, or follow logical connections. And then C1, the ability to analyze tone, implied meaning, writer's attitude, or interpret complex opinions. And when it comes to C2, of course, it will, just like the listening test, test your ability to identify and understand philosophical speech, irony, subtle intent. So you'll see things like poetry and scholarly articles. An A1 question. In this example, we see a text showing the opening and closing hours of a supermarket. And the answer is found exactly as is in the text. So A1 is just simple facts, which you will always find in the text itself, word for word. A2 could be slightly longer text, could be simple personal notes or messages. Here we see a short text where Paul lets his friend know that he will not be able to come this evening and that he will have to go find his sister at the airport. And then in the question, it asks why this person is not able to come. A, they're sick. B, they have another engagement. C, they're not able to come. So the general idea here is that this person is not able to come because they have to find their sister at the airport. So they have something else that they're going to do. So the general idea here is they have another engagement. Why this would be A2 is because we're picking the general idea from this short text. In B1 questions, you will find narratives or descriptive texts on familiar or current topics. Let's look at an example. In this piece of text here, the writer says that they love their trip to Quebec. The people are welcoming, the city is magnificent, but they don't like the extreme cold. The question says, what is the feeling of the author? They hate the trip, they love the city despite the cold, they no longer like to travel. The answer here is they like the city despite the cold. So in B1 questions, you're generally required to find the idea or the tone or the opinion of the writer. One common aspect of B1 questions is how they commonly ask for feelings, sentiments, opinions of the people involved. In B2 questions, you will normally find newspaper articles, formal letters, or sections or clippings from novels. The piece of text here was picked from an article. This article in English would basically read, some claim that social media promotes personal expression. Others, on the contrary, see it as a source of addiction and loneliness. The question says, what is the opinion expressed in the text? A, social media is positive. B, there are different opinions about social media. C, social media has no impact. And the correct answer here being B, which says there are different opinions about social media. When it comes to B2 questions, as we can see here, they basically test your ability to recognize the structure of an argument, as well as identify reasons and contrasting opinions from two or more different sides. In B2 questions, you will start seeing slightly more advanced vocabulary, as well as vocabulary that is used in formal settings. You will start to see more transitional statements like certains affirment, d'autres au contraire, which are basically words that are used to compare different opinions. You will also notice articles about debates, or just any piece of text that is comparing two or more separate sides of an argument. When it comes to C1 questions, you're looking at complex texts, essays, critiques, in-depth analysis. In this question here, the translation would be, by pretending to defend freedom, some speeches hide a desire for ideological control. The language used reveals a fear of change. Question: what does the author's tone reveal? A, an admiration for the speech. B, a hidden and subtle critique. C, total neutrality. The correct answer is B, a hidden and subtle critique. C1 questions would generally be critiques or analysis of arguments and would generally describe the tone, the implied meaning, emotional stance of how an argument is given. And again, just like the listening test, C2 is basically just inferred meanings, sarcasm, deeper nuance, which would need complex interpretation. Now let's look at tips for succeeding in the reading test. In the beginning, it is essential that you read a lot. Read more books, newspapers, social media posts. Just expose yourself to different forms of articles and written documents. Of course, you should try to memorize new words so that you understand more vocabulary. One way to do this would be through flashcards. And also, like the listening test, which tests your ability to understand, I can't focus more on practice tests. They will boost your level to a score you can hardly imagine. Practice makes those questions stick. Almost 99% of the questions come back every year. These are just free points. You can't afford to miss out on this. Check the description below to find the link to websites you can subscribe to for practice tests. This video is not sponsored, and trust me, these exams can be complicated, so we just have to do our best to help each other out. In the end, we all have similar goals: to pass the exam. Next, let's take a look at the format of the writing test.